Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Nerd Haven podcast. It feels like we haven't been here for a while, but I think we had an episode last week, right? I'm not sure. How's it
I've been
going, John?
here every day, waiting patiently for yet another opportunity for me to express my thoughts on the most important matters in this world, at least to me, which is, of course, the MCU universe and the Dexter series.
Dexter Resurrection. We were gonna talk the last couple of episodes, and then we just happened to watch the most recent one. So now we're 3 episodes behind in the podcast. and
Hell yeah.
but we're gonna go ahead and do it. I think first off, John, you specifically had a bit of a negative uh feeling or thought of the show after episode 1 and 2. So I want to know 3 episodes after that, your initial reaction, which is episode 5 now. How are you feeling about the show?
A bit negative reaction is putting it very lightly. I hated the first episode. I hated the second
Hmm.
episode. I wasn't happy with the direction. I wanted nothing to do with Harrison. I thought that the previous series did him justice. It was all done. He shot Dexter. It's fine. And if you insist on bringing Dexter back, I didn't want him redeemed. I hated the fact that it was just glance over that he killed an innocent person who was just trying to do their job. The cop that was like also the PE teacher, and he was just so nice, and so friendly, and even to Dexter, and he just freaking murders him, and just gets shot, and it was a. I didn't like it. And for the show to kind of go back and for Dexter to just be like this human corpse that can barely walk, to then just immediately kind of forget about it and just be completely fine and start chasing serial killers again, this time in New York. I felt like the pacing was kind of weird. The whole Harrison stuff is like, the cop is kind of like meh. So I
Yeah,
wasn't
yeah.
really happy. But I am happy to report, hot off the press, that even though the third episode didn't really ease my consternation with the beginning of this new series, it surprised me because in the very third episode, the backseat driver, he immediately kills who I thought was the main bad guy, the main serial killer of the show,
Yeah.
and even though there was like this awkward moment where he like drops the needle, I was just like, oh my god, here we go again. Oh, this is just giving me unnecessary panic attacks, and I hate it. Just fucking, why? You have one job to fucking knock someone out with your needle, and you're gonna lose it like oh, it was just so
Yeah,
stupid, and I
just
hated it. And I
Rusty
thought,
Dexter, like we've seen that
yeah.
before, right?
And that's now it's gonna take him like 10 more episodes, to get him back on the table, to have that one more opportunity. I was just like, ugh, this is the last freaking nail in my coffin of enjoying this freaking series. But thankfully, he did manage to kill him. And then,
That's a
we
weird
kind of
sentence to
realized.
say.
I know. And then we kind of realized that, there is going to be like a new, I would say, direction for this show.
Yeah.
Maybe the Harrison stuff isn't the most important thing that we will be concerned about. Maybe we're going kind of back to our roots, but also introducing like these new weird characters. And I will let you tell me how you felt about the continuation after episode 3, because episode 3 was just like, hey, let's start
Yeah.
something new.
So let's go back to episode 3. I think as of that point, that turned out to be the best episode. Because of that, because I feel like 1 and 2, I'm kind of glad that they gave us both of those together. Because if I
Mhm.
had watched them individually, I think I would have been even less happier with the show, right? But watching 1 and 2 was like, okay, I mean, it's fine. But where are we going with this? And
Mhm.
we discussed it back in our previous episode that we had our problems with it. We had problems with the detective. I still have problems with her. I don't really think she
Dun, dun, dun,
feels
dun, 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 dun,
she
dun, dun,
doesn't really
dun.
feel like a real character to me or a real person. But other than that, I think the direction has taken a turn for the better. I think episode 3 kind of took me aback in a way that I wasn't fully expecting, and I'm happy that they decided to go for that. Like episode 3, boom, guy dead instantly.
Mhm.
There was there was no lead up. There was no like. I mean, we knew what we knew, and he just killed him. That's it. Loved it.
Yeah,
um, and then
refreshing.
yeah, it was like, and because like you, I thought that they were gonna drag it on for a while. I thought that this was the main killer for the season. But as we've seen before, Dexter has a tendency to have like villain of the weeks, right? With one overarching villain. And it was and it was nice to see that they're kind of going back to that. But in this one, there's something special about the fact that all the killers know each other. and um and to get into episode 4 and 5, we'll get into that, but we we meet somebody that changes the dynamic even more in episode 4. And I don't know, as of 3, I am on board.
Same. Episode 3 opened up a new chapter that
Hmm.
I never thought I wanted from this show, but I'm definitely very, very happy to have it because right now I am hooked. I am enjoying it. I want to see how this ends. I immediately forgot about all my problems during the first few episodes or
Right.
that occurred during the last series. I even like the Harrison stuff now. I think it's kind of like still a bit jammed in there, but like him constantly freaking out and like his little side story with the I have to mention that that lady that he's like taking care of her son, that had like a one night stand, and
Yeah.
suddenly she was pregnant and stuff. She is so hot. I adore her. I
Yeah,
wanted
she's great.
them to bang like immediately. It's giving me blue balls, and I just ship them so much. And she's wonderful. She's amazing. She's a retail worker, of course,
She's great.
and. She's amazing. I don't know her name, but I love her, and I want her to have my babies. But that's besides the point. So now that we got that out of the way, I would like to apologize. Kind of going back to what you mentioned to all the people on the spectrum following our podcast. Just because M9 hates and hate is again understatement. He hates the detective because she displays some unnatural, autistic, or perhaps even I would say further tendencies to just act a bit antisocially and strangely when it comes to like sorting out crimes and stuff. Obviously, she's very talented, but she's
Hmm.
more like a weird MCU character, that has like superpowers of
Yeah.
deduction. And M9 is not, I would say, reflecting his opinions on all the people on the spectrum. It's just this particular character that he feels strongly about. Okay, we're just concerned about her writing. We're not making a statement about a group of people. I would just like to
Yeah,
make
no,
that
because
for disclosure.
I honestly love that that is her character. Right? I honestly love that if they're leaning into it being somebody on the spectrum, um, then but she just feels a little unrealistic to me, like what you said. It does feel um like that fictional show that I was talking about, Psych. It just feels like it's fiction. And um and I wish that it was a bit more grounded if you're leaning into some of like the autism or some of the those quirks that makes them like see things differently or absorb information differently or whatever, right? But with her, it just doesn't seem real. And
Every Sorry, every
and
time
go ahead.
one of those songs starts playing, whenever she puts on the headphones, I lose my shit and I
Mhm.
start laughing just because I know that you must be like cringing like to no end because of
Yeah,
it.
and like she doesn't completely ruin the show for me because luckily she's still kind of pretty minor role in the show. And what I do appreciate is that even when she is put into a scene or whatever, there's different dynamics with different characters. Like we see her in episode 5 with when she's talking to Harrison, but we also see her talking to her coworker a lot, and we see her talking to individuals, questioning and things like that. So it's not as bad when she's like doing her job. And I think a couple of episodes in, I'm understanding that it's just the character. I just kind of feel like she could have been written better. But
Let me give you one name from previous series, and the name is Frank Lundy. He was a genius FBI investigator, detective that was very much concerned
Hmm.
about the patterns, about chasing these serial killers. He had his, I would say, weirdness, in his character, but he never felt like someone outside of the realm of possible. He
Right.
just felt like a cool old school detective, and there were more. Deborah herself was a great detective to follow. She had her own quirks, of course, foul mouth, very intense, extremely
But
anti-establishment
very
and
good at her job.
anti-authority. Yeah, but extremely good at her job. And we saw her work process, whenever it was like nighttime, whenever she spent like overnight, like staring at those pictures of like the murder scenes. And then she came up with like a brilliant thought.
Hmm.
I would say that this very show is actually the problem with the detective's character that we see, in New York, because we saw a bunch of amazing detectives, doing their job extremely well,
Yeah.
and we saw them being played by amazing actors. And this is like a strange performance of a strange character that is like, I don't know
So
how I feel about this.
yeah, so you know what I think the problem, the biggest problem is that I feel like she's supposed to be an anti-Dexter, right? I think, or she's supposed to oppose Dexter, because as we have seen throughout Dexter's career, he's extremely vigilant, like visual, with the way that he does the blood spatter and analysis and everything like that.
Mhm.
Dexter's like low key genius, and I think that they're trying to make her so that she parallels Dexter. But the problem is that we have seen Dexter develop these things or explain these things, or um they're fleshed out a bit more. For her, we were just thrown into a character and we are forced to believe it. We don't see any of the thought behind it.
Indeed, I would have to agree. Yeah, her character could use some more baking in the oven.
Yeah. But other than that, so we both agree that episode 3 is kind of a good course correction, right? Not that I hated 1 and 2, but episode 3 felt like they they were finally going somewhere. And then episode 4 happened.
Yes, this whole new direction where all of a sudden, I have to start with this. This is the first, I would say, piece of medium where I get to see Peter Dinklage acting. I don't think I've seen him anywhere else, but I know of him, of course. I know that he's the tiny guy. I know he's been in Game of Thrones, and I know that
Mhm.
you all hate me for this, you and our second viewer. But this is just hilarious to me, that I am for the first time seeing this actor act, and he's incredible.
He's amazing. And in Game of Thrones, amazing. But yeah, uh I love him in this show so much.
He's so freaking cool. And this really goes to show that even when, the gods curse you with a low amount of testosterone and centimeters, you can still do wonderful things in life.
Yeah. Do you want to put a disclaimer in there for that?
Uh, I didn't mean anything bad, about people with low T, low height, or anything like that. Okay, midgets have their own place in this world, and we will rule it one day
Yeah,
by
Peter
force and
Dinklage
fear.
is so freaking good. I always loved him in Game of Thrones, but there's something so refreshing about his character in this one. Uh, as somebody that just wants to admire other people's work, and in this case, being serial killers, it was so odd of a story choice, but it works so well.
It does, it does. And that whole freaking congregation of those serial killers is so interesting. And I did not expect to see freaking Jessica Jones showing up to
Yeah,
play Jessica Jones in my favorite freaking series of Dexter, where she plays a drunk that is so very freaking hot and just acts like Jessica Jones in a not Jessica Jones series. We
so
haven't even talked about Jessica Jones yet, but
no,
like we have to bring up Jessica Jones because she's in this freaking series.
we do have to bring up Jessica Jones. When we watched this episode, you messaged me or saying that you were loving the episode. And
He was.
that was the only thing that we discussed because we normally don't discuss anything prior to our podcast. But he just said that one thing, like, I'm loving this. And I instantly knew that it was because of Jessica Jones.
Yes. It's not even like my favorite TV show, but I just like the actress.
Yeah,
She's
yeah,
very
yeah. She's
cool, and
good.
I really like how she plays. It's very simple, you know. She's just a drunk. She just loves. She's loving life. She knows exactly how, you know, freaking all the guys kind of look at her and immediately, you know, want to be on good graces with her. And she's playing that role so well. It kind of reminds me
Hmm.
of Eva Green, you know, like from SimCity. You know,
Yeah.
she has that allure about her, and she plays it so well.
So I'm
She's
gonna
a very
ask you a
cool
couple of
actress.
questions, John, about this episode, and we can discuss. Um, it kind of seems like in, you know, in this one we're getting a lot of exposition, right? We're meeting a lot of new characters. We're kind of understanding what the foundation is going to be moving forward, and we're also getting a lot of resistance from Angel Batista in this show. I mean, in this episode, which is getting a little intense. And I
It
am
is.
really like I'm really appreciating Batista's POV on this, um, because he's being the great detective he always was, and he's not giving up. He knows that he's onto something, and he's not giving up. And I appreciate that he's trying to work different angles to get information. How do you feel about? I guess my first question is: do you feel that it's too stuffed with everything that's happening in 4 and 5? And do you think like Angel Batista's getting the time he deserves?
I'm sorry, what? It's not Angel, it's Angel.
Angel.
Angel. Or David Batista, you know, one of those, because
Yeah,
he's a
yeah.
freaking badass. And I couldn't agree more. He needs to be. Let it be known that Angel Batista is the most underrated character in this entire series.
I agree.
He has always been a great detective. He has always been a great person, someone you can always kind of get behind, you know, no matter his mishaps. He's not perfect, you know, he fucks up just like everyone else. La Pasión, you know, and freaking Maria La Guerta and his like little romance and there, and like his buddy cop duo with Quinn, you know, back in the day. He's just great. He's always been great. He never pissed me off with like his presence on the screen. And I also love the fact that Dexter is one of those shows that both gives you the beautiful, you know, amazing looking people, but it also is not shying away from giving you like a few fat, you know, kind of not exactly
Yeah.
the most attractive people, you know, in the world. And I like that. I love
Yeah,
that
just
Batista is just
very
one of us, you know.
realistic. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, just a fat bloke who loves wearing hats, you know. That's his.
I always kind of it was funny. A long time ago, I was like, if I could play any character, I'd be like, it'd be Angel Batista. I could play that character. Um, but I always appreciated him as a character in the previous Dexter show, and I think that his legacy is only being expanded upon. I don't feel like he's being ridiculed. I do, you know, he is one step behind, but I think that's more
He's
of a
catching up.
yeah, he's catching up, and I think that's just more of a credit to Dexter than it is a detriment or a point off from Angel. You know, like
And it's kind of heartbreaking because
yeah,
Dexter was always his socio. He was always defending him, you know, against dogs, even
yep.
against La Guerta. And it's been. I am very curious to see how this is going to go. And I have to make a prediction, even though all my predictions so far have turned out to be wrong. I really think that he's going to be the one who gets Dexter at the
I
end.
think so too.
And he deserves it so very much, you know. And we, of course, see the little scene here with Quinn and, you know, very old looking Quinn who looks so
Oh my
horrible.
god, yeah,
Masuka looks still like a Masuka, you
he
know,
looks
from season
exactly the
freaking
same.
one.
Yeah,
Asian people never age.
but Quinn, yeah, looks like a kind of like a stretched out lizard. But the
Yes.
um, I I think your prediction might be right, but do you think it'll be caught and punished or or killed? Like, do you think he's gonna kill Dexter?
Oh, that is the question. I do think that in this season Dexter will die. I think that they have already stretched this way too long. Maybe he will end up in prison, like life sentence or something like that. But I don't know if Batista will kill him. It might be just something like a random coincidence. One of the killers will kill him. Batista will be there, and yes, I am the Bay Harbor Butcher. You're right. I'm sorry, Socio. Like that.
Yeah, just let
But
it
yeah,
end.
I think Batista already knows. He's very much convinced, that
He's
there
convinced,
is
yeah.
something very fishy going on, and that he will be the Bay Harbor Butcher, and he just needs to gather more evidence. He's basically where LaGuerta was,
Uh-huh.
around like season
I
6,
don't
I
think
think, or
anything at
7.
this point can convince him Dexter's not the Bay Harbor Butcher. Like
Yeah,
he
pretty
is,
much.
he has made up his
He's all
mind.
in.
Yeah, and I don't want to see Dexter behind bars. I think, I think he needs to die.
Yeah,
As
I
much
think
as
that's
that
the
pains
only
me
fair
to say,
closure.
yeah. But anyway, yeah. So episode 4, I love how intense Batista comes in to talk to Harrison and start making connections with the super detective, and also just getting grounded into this investigation. But the setup with Peter Dinklage and all of the other people, I absolutely love that. It felt like something that we shouldn't be watching, but we were, and I loved it.
It's like in RP, whenever you have those secret meetings and one of the people decides to stream, and you get the POV of their
Exactly, that is
character.
exactly what it feels like.
And
when
that's what
you're
we got, we
when we're
cannot use this
stream
information and
sniping.
we metagaming. Yeah.
Yeah, we were
But like we
definitely.
cannot help it. We have to check it out.
Yeah, we are definitely metagaming, and I loved it. And I think that that's
And that
only. Oh, does NPH? He gets got in episode 4, right?
yes, the tattoo guy, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Oh my god. And also like the freaking characters that they brought like to play these serial killers. One of them is from the Ant-Man series, one of the repair guys, right? Or the security guys. The Russian looking one.
yes, exactly. Hmm.
I immediately recognize him. And of course, we have Jessica Jones, and the other ones I don't really recognize. Of
Yeah,
course,
Neil
I recognize
Patrick
Peter
Harris.
Dinklage. But I'm also kind of at the very beginning, whenever they announced the casting for the show, I was a bit weirded out. Why is there Uma Thurman? Why is there Peter Dinklage? Why is there? I had no idea that Jessica Jones would be here. I didn't even like take that into account. But I would have been weirded out. I was just like, is this where all the money went? What about like the story? What about the quality? Oh, it's not a problem at all. Like I am loving everyone they casted for this. Even though I was concerned, I am definitely a fan. What about you?
Yeah, I don't think it felt like gratuitous cameos at all. Um, every character kind of feels grounded. Like Neil Patrick Harris' character was a little weird and a bit disgusting, but when his character was on screen, it didn't feel like, hey, we just needed to write some kind of role to bring Neil Patrick Harris in, or the same thing with like Uma. At first it kind of did take me a little, like it took me off a bit when I saw her, but I'm like, okay, like her role is, we don't know enough about
She's a
her.
badass.
Yeah, and I think that she fits in well. Same with everybody else, and I thought that that meeting was awesome. And Dexter trying to fake his way to get in there, I was all about it.
Yeah. By the way, you mentioned Neil Patrick Harris. I had no idea he was even in it until you mentioned it.
Yeah, he's the tattoo guy.
Who was he? Oh, he was the passenger guy?
No, he was a tattoo guy, the one that's cutting people's tattoos off.
Wait, really?
Mhm.
Like the Terminator 2 guy?
The Terminator 2 guy?
Wait, that's not Neil Patrick Harris.
He
Wait, I need to
Neil
Google.
Patrick Harris was in Starship Troopers.
Johnny Rico?
No, 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 no. He was like the one that was like a doctor or something like that. Um, and then he was really well known for his role in How I Met Your Mother. And he's been in a couple of other comedic stuff.
Oh, I see. I think he played a Terminator, but not the one I thought he did.
I'm not sure, but maybe. Yeah, he's been around for a while, and to
I know
see
the
him
name.
there, yeah, it was really awesome. I the freaking moment where Dexter's like faking his thumbprint. I was like, that seems a little bullshitty, but I'll buy it.
Yeah.
It's
I
like
mean,
what?
it was imaginative, it was creative,
And the way that
I
it
could get
was,
behind it.
yeah, the way that it was done felt possible, and I guess that that's enough, right?
Mhm.
But yeah, then he managed to get in. We met Jessica Jones, and I love the addition of Jessica Jones and uh, her chemistry with Dexter. I think is awesome, which only
I
leads us to episode
immediately
5.
thought I immediately thought those two were gonna bang. Like,
Oh yeah.
Dexter always
Sorry.
gets his chick, in every series, and this was supposed to be the one. And I was excited that, maybe because every season gives us at least like one creepy boob shot, from like one of those actresses. And I was like,
Yeah.
well, I guess we're gonna see Jessica Bones, Jessica Jones
Jessica.
goodies.
Dexter probably was gonna bone, but yeah. Um,
Freudian slip.
it's funny because Dexter is such a like a non-romantic or non-sexual person, and but
Oh bullshit!
we've
He's
seen him
been
be
drowning
horny
in
as
pussy
fuck.
like
Yeah, exactly.
since every
Every season.
second. Every season. But like that's kind of one of my criticisms of the show. I kind of like the portrayal of Dexter as this asexual, extremely
Hmm.
centered person who kind of fakes everything, but he's clearly enjoying the company of ladies.
Yeah, because it's like okay, I think he does. I think more mental. He doesn't like care about it in a mental state, but in the physical state, he's into it. Like,
Oh yeah.
yeah. Um.
I think that's like a bit of a inconsistency, with his character.
Right.
If he were, but like we see psychopaths, kind of developing these relationships to achieve
Other
other
motives. Yeah.
points on their agenda. Yeah, but like with him, it always feels organic. Like hey, he doesn't have to, bang with all these women that
Yeah.
are all hot and like drive him crazy. With like thinking about them constantly. Like Hannah, he was so freaking into her.
Yeah.
The
He was.
chemistry was so much in there. A person with no emotional awareness wouldn't fall for that.
Right. And and I think that that's kind of the thing with Dexter is that he's not really like unemotional. He's just a
No.
little broken. you know.
Yeah. I mean, there is definitely something very broken inside of him, but he, like, and I kind of don't like this about this series. The fact that he still keeps wrestling with his moral compass. Hey, I am a serial killer. I cannot really help myself, but I also want to be a good dad. It's like you can still do all of these things. Just
Right.
freaking admit, that you have done a lot of fucked up things. You have hurt a lot of people, but like your life doesn't have to die. You can still do some good
Yeah.
stuff, make up for it at least partially, or you can just go kill yourself, like you freaking did with
Exactly.
Harrison. It didn't work. So I guess you were given another chance. So don't question it and try your best.
And I think that
But
they
like,
kind of hinted at that in episode 5 a bit, where he seems to understand a bit more that him and Harrison are probably not the same. And I think he was pushing an agenda. Um, but I kind of feel like it's more denial on Harrison's part than anything. But it's kind of nice to see the contrast. It's nice to see that Dexter thought that he was like grooming Harrison to keep him safe, but maybe Harrison isn't like him, and I think that that's something kind of interesting uh to go deeper into flesh out. That maybe it's just Dexter that was fucked up, and he was trying to
yeah,
pass it on.
I am so glad you brought it up because I actually love that scene. And I wish we would have gotten it during the last series,
Me too.
during the snowy one, because that would have just made their relationship so much better and so much more interesting to me. You are absolutely right in everything you said, and Dexter is right to finally do what is right, and obviously Harrison appreciated it too.
Hmm.
Dexter finally told him the truth. He finally also admitted that those two are not like the same. They had a slightly similar origin story, but like that still doesn't determine like the entirety of their
Right.
characters.
And they
They're
could
still
probably have
from
anger issues, but
yeah.
to drive somebody to need to kill, I don't think they necessarily have to mirror each other in that sense. And that's why I really loved that scene. Because Dexter kind of, I don't know, was taken aback by the realization. You saw it in his face. Um, and I thought it was really powerful. Whether or not it stays that way, I guess we'll see. But I thought it was a really nice scene.
Yeah, yeah. With Harrison, it generally feels like he just has, anger
Anger, yeah.
management issues. He has this paranoia.
He has daddy issues.
He kind of, whenever he feels like he is in like a high stressful situation or scenario, he uses excessive force. That
Hmm.
doesn't really strike me as what Dexter do. Dexter, sure, can get vengeful, he can get vindictive, but he still does it with like his calmness, emotionless way,
Right.
where he has a plan, he executes it, and it's done, and he enjoys all the parts of the planning process. Harrison doesn't really plan for these things. He doesn't want to like break hands
Yeah,
during
he's
wrestling matches.
reactive.
Yeah, reactive, extremely reactive. He didn't want to kill this guy that was, about to freaking rape this lady who was like all freaking dozed out. And
Literally almost like
but
walked
like,
away from it.
yeah, he's actually, and I love the fact that they made him go to the police station to admit, what he did, and I love that Dexter stopped him. I
Yeah.
think that
Do you
was
think
like
he
the
would
most
have turned
the
himself in?
defining. Yeah, I think so, and I would love to see that, honestly. I love that this was like the defining moment where Dexter admitted that those two are not the same, because Dexter would have never done that.
Dexter would never in a fucking million years. He would murder
Yeah.
everyone in the police department to get
He loves
away.
food and women way too much to ever go to prison.
So, yeah, so I think that that's kind of an interesting opposition in characters is that when we look back at some of the flashbacks and some of the scenes of Dexter growing up, it's exactly what you said. He enjoyed the aspects of getting there mentally or to like or preparing and yeah, he was a little sloppy at first as we saw like in the prequel one, but um it he actually felt something inside him that drove his actions. And Harrison is not like that at all. He doesn't feel anything that drives his actions. The situation drives his actions, and I think that that makes him very different.
Harrison also didn't grow up in a family of a cop
Right.
and an extremely foul-mouthed lady who also had extreme daddy issues. So even Dexter's environment was kind of like unstable
Yeah, so
and
like I
almost
wonder
led
how much
him.
of this is generational trauma. Like how
Yeah.
much how much did Harrison the grandfather, the Harry, how much did he influence Dexter or enable him? And if he would have just gotten him help, would Dexter be the Bay Harbor Butcher at the end of the day? And was Dexter about to do the same thing to Harrison? You know?
Yeah, this is a very common criticism that you will find on forums, that uh, whoever created this dark passenger in Dexter, whoever was the originator of most of his issues, was actually Harry Morgan.
Yeah.
And if not him, it was definitely the freaking Dr. Vogel lady who essentially convinced him and Harry, that Dexter is just a textbook psychopath, even though he's clearly not. Like, she's a neuropsychiatrist who is supposed to be aware of cases like this all the time, but the way she kind of studied him, the way she treated him, it was like Dexter received an immediate excuse for all his actions. Well, I'm a psychopath. I can just do whatever I want,
Exactly. There's no
do
fixing.
what. Yeah, do what suits this definition. And that was actually what turned him into like the worst version of himself, at the end of like season 8. And that's what killed Ebb essentially.
Exactly, yeah.
So I am glad that we get to see this comparison, between Dexter and Harrison, a different kind of way of, growing up, different environments, and of course, different circumstances to their own little demons, that they have.
Yeah, I completely agree. And then in season 5, we get I mean, episode 5, we see a bit more of, Batista closing in, which again, I'm absolutely loving, and I want him it's something weird, right? The fact that we're shifting from, um we've always kind of rooted for Dexter, but Dexter's a bad guy in this
Yeah,
series.
I
Um
totally cheer for Batista.
but in this season, I think we are shifting slightly to Batista, where I think it's time for Dexter to get caught. And if and I don't think no part of me wants Super Detective to do it. I want Batista to do it. um, and yeah, so I'm really excited to see where that story continues because there's so much history with them, and uh I want, I'm really hoping to see how he feels betrayed, or how it all comes down to be when they actually butt heads. But in this episode they focused a lot on the lady vengeance, and that
Hmm.
was kind of intense in a very like natural but seductive way, I guess. It was intense because we've seen Dexter lose focus, right? And be influenced by others. And it almost never ends well. So I was just like, Dexter, you gotta focus up, buddy. This chick is gonna be the death of you.
The only time it ever went well, relatively well, was with Lumen at season 4.
Right.
And it still came with a price, broke Dexter's heart, but it also kind of, allowed him to move on from, Rita's death and stuff. And I loved season 4 more than season 3. I really kind of have problems with season 3,
Hmm.
but season 4 is kind of underrated in this regard, in my opinion. I did very much enjoy like broken Dexter helping another broken person, who was Lumen, basically get some justice, even though there was nothing that could make it right for her. They could at least make sure that no one else will have to go through something like this, and yeah, that was one of my favorite seasons. And I am glad that this episode yet again completely shattered my expectations. I thought that those two would essentially become sidekicks. I thought that they would bang like
Like a Bonnie
rabbits.
and Clyde
I
type of thing.
thought yeah, but pretty much, and I kind of like the idea of finally having like a justified serial killer who only kills, rapists and predators, and I thought it would be like a cool combination. But then, how would Dexter argue that he just kills random people in taxi drivers that are taxi drivers, because that is his current identity. That is what she thinks of him.
Hmm.
And what if he is actually fitting her MO, her code? And what if she's doing all of this
To
to
set
get
him up.
him, to trust her, to set him up, and then to freaking cut him into little pieces? I thought that was her play. I thought that she was planning to get rid of Dexter because he is just fitting her code way too much.
Yeah.
But then, if she's a member of this society for like 4 years, that is a bit suspicious. Like she's surrounded by killers and she's doing nothing. Maybe like Dexter fits her code really well. So I didn't stand behind the theory like 100%, but I was curious to see where it's gonna go.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I'm completely with you there because one of the things that I love about the situation of him being surrounded by other serial killers is the fact that not only are you aware of these other people that fit your code, Dexter's code, but you're also possibly fitting into their
Y-
code.
y- Exactly.
And
That's why this whole dynamic is so interesting.
it's really interesting, and the fact that you never really know who could be lying. I with her, I thought that we were just like one move away from it going bad, and it was keeping me on the edge of my seat because the whole time it was going too well. And I'm like, then when she starts getting a little pushy and she's talking about like killing somebody together and things like that, I'm like, oh, Dexter, no. No. And but I knew at that point when she like revealed her cards, I'm like, oh, you just became a target.
Yeah, this is like one of those cases whenever I talk to these Grok for 18 plus chatbots and they always invited me to sit on them on the couch. It never ends well afterwards. So I figured exactly what you figured, that it's going way too well and she's up to something. And I was very curious to see where this is going to go because it would be fun to see Dex on her table or wherever she is and kind
Hmm.
of. Fight for his life, get a bit scared, and have like a serial killer standoff, where they basically hunt each other, and they're also forced to like Mr. and Mrs. Smith, like
Yeah.
chat during these dinners and stuff.
And oh, let me tell you one thing. Okay, since we were on the topic of her getting of her whole thing, her getting caught by Dexter setting her up. I I don't know if I've ever been so proud of a Dexterism in my life before, but when they revealed that he put the watch inside her thing, I was like, this motherfucker's a genius. I love this guy.
It was a 10,000 IQ move for sure. Even the fact that he called the police on her instead
Mhm.
of killing her himself or trying to kill her, it was a genius move. I love that he called the police. I love that he put the watch in there as a trophy. It just fits so freaking perfectly well.
I didn't see it coming either. I like the whole watch thing. I thought that he was just going to set her up to be, to be caught because she fit his code, but he knew ultimately that it would have been more dangerous for him, and he made the right call, right? I and Dexter often does what he needs to do to survive. That's something that we know.
Yeah.
So
Point one on the don't get caught,
don't get
the
caught.
code.
And so that happened, but then when they revealed the watch, I was like, Dexter, you mad fucking genius. I was like,
Yes.
Jesus. I
Even
was
Harrison
going,
had to admit, that this was a freaking amazing move.
yeah. But it also doesn't fully make sense. And I don't think Super Detective buys it. Um, because wouldn't there be any kind of trace of what's her face? Like in the hotel and um like there's so much more pinned on Harrison than there is on her.
Oh yeah, she's definitely not going to buy it like completely. Even Batista, whenever he saw on the news that the killer of that
Yeah,
guy
he
was
knew.
called, and I think that we're gonna get more from Uma Thurman, and I think she's gonna get Jessica Jones out of the prison soon,
Do
and
you
we're
think
gonna
so? Because I
see.
think she's gonna die.
Oh, I thought so. I thought so. Whenever she was going there, that it was gonna happen, but I thought that they would show us during that last scene. I think
Maybe.
she's gonna survive, and I think she's gonna be a problem for Dexter.
I would so here's the thing. I would actually like that more than what my initial thought was because when she said, "We'll make sure your stay here is comfortable and short," I was like, they're gonna make sure somebody kills her inside the jail. And
I think Peter Dinklage likes her too much.
right, exactly. So, but I'm like, I uh, I don't know. I would rather see what you're talking about. I would rather see Dexter more on his back foot, and some of these people may be working together. Like if Batista now goes and talks to her, it's gonna be an issue. So
or or maybe, she will finally reveal herself to be who she's supposed to be, and she will just break out of the prison by just ripping the brakes off and jump out of there, because of her super jump abilities.
right,
And then she will go back to, taking pictures of people who are cheating on their wives.
yeah. Back to Hell's Kitchen. Was it Hell's Kitchen?
Yeah, it was Hell's Kitchen.
Yeah.
Well,
Um.
New York. To me, New York is essentially Hell's Kitchen, like the entire New
Yeah.
York. There is Harlem too, but no one cares about Luke Cage.
Nobody. I mean, okay. Anyway, yeah. So episode 5 ended on that note with Batista and stuff like that. And I got to say, with episode 5, I'm fully into this season. I am really liking the way that it's going. I'm liking also that a lot of my initial predictions are wrong. That means they keep me guessing. And it's not as cheesy and what's the word that I can like call
Predictable?
predictable. Yeah, I can call it easily. It doesn't feel like that so far, and it feels new, but also very familiar, and I really like that.
Yeah, the balance is there, and I'm definitely enjoying what I'm seeing. I'm so glad that the show proved me wrong, because I pretty much wrote it off at the very beginning. Like I owe Dexter, my appreciation, my respect, and my patience. So I was willing to go finish the entire series
Hmm.
and see what it has to offer, with open eyes, open mind, open heart, and I am definitely liking what I'm seeing here.
That's good.
It is very intriguing. I like all these storylines. I like all the characters. I
There's a lot of
cannot wait
moving
to see how
pieces,
this will end. Yes,
and I really like that. Um,
and that's Dexter at its best, right?
exactly.
Whenever like so many things can happen. Whenever the every single episode just raises the stakes, and it's almost painful, kind of like, oh, I really don't want to be in Harrison's skin right now.
Yeah, right.
Oh, this is gonna go wrong.
Because there's a lot of shows that sometimes feel like the world doesn't spin when the main character isn't around. And Dexter has always been at his best when it's not like that, right? Like when they can jump from character to character and there's multiple things happening in different people's lives. And that's what's happening now. I watched the animated Star Trek show, Lower Decks, and there was an episode that they kind of made fun of that, with them saying like nothing interesting happens on the ship unless it happens to us. But because that's how the movies are, right? Like there's a whole crew of 500 people, but we're always paying attention to the same 6 people. Um, and I think that that's kind of something interesting about Dexter, right? That is, there's so many moving pieces, and we don't know how they're going to connect at the end.
Indeed. I'm very intrigued. I'm very excited, and it hurts waiting the entire week.
That was
to get
gonna be
another
my
episode.
next question, John. You normally wait for seasons to be like finished and then just binge. How
Yes, but
has
then
it
my
been?
amigo messages me
You're
that he wants to
socio.
do a podcast about this show, so I have you to blame.
How are you feeling watching it week to week?
I hate you. This is exactly why I didn't want to do this, because I hate everything about this.
Yeah. See, I understand that, but how much more can we dive into like an episode and have a discussion than speaking about an entire season at once? You know, there's just something about it. Yeah,
I'm so glad it's worth it.
it's been
For
worth
you.
it. It's definitely been worth it, and I appreciate you hanging in there with me. And I think with that sigh, if you do you have any more notes or anything else that you want to get off your chest?
Have you seen the episode of South Park that also released recently?
I have not.
Yeah, check that one out. That might ease your withdrawal symptoms for Dexter and get you also excited for another show that is currently running. I think that whatever I know about your political leanings, I think that you will enjoy the parody in this
I've heard a
episode.
couple
You
of
don't have to
things.
watch. Yeah,
Yeah.
you don't have to watch like previous seasons or anything like that. It is working on its own.
All right, that's cool. Yeah, I'll give it a watch. But yeah, John, thanks for hanging out. Thanks for it's been a little difficult to get these scheduled and get them
Yeah,
done because we've been a little busy on both ends. But we're not gonna stop. We're gonna see the show all the way through, and it's been
hell yeah.
good times. So
And we still have plenty of Marvel movies, to go through. I am so glad that we finally did the Ant-Man second movie, and I'm so excited for Captain Marvel and of course the Endgame.
yeah, are we gonna bring in Light for that?
I don't see why not. I think she mentioned that she would be interested. Let's give it a go.
Sounds good. We'll work something out. So that'll be our next episode, guys, on the podcast. Thank you all for hanging out and listening, all you 2 people, and we will see you all next time.
Have a good one. Peace.
Peace.